in a naturalistic conception is absolutely devoid of value. It also depends on who is performing it. Now, you add that with note 235, so this is a combination of three notes. Note 258 plus note 292, and finally 235. A man is seldom characterized by a single act. A rage, this is one of my favorite passages. A rage, a reach, a knife thrust. What if personality isn't in that? So what's the conclusion, right? Thus, we can conclude that actions are devoid, right? And I'll actually write this down because it's important. I'll put it here. Actions are devoid of both, one, moral phenomena, and two, value. Moral phenomena and value are not intrinsically, in and of itself, part of the act. Nietzsche says it himself, right? He says specifically, this interpretation itself is of extra moral phenomena, right? It happens outside of the phenomena itself. So the Nietzschean conception is pretty easy to visualize, right? You have the agent, you have the action, right? You have the agent, you have the action, and externally you have the attribution of value. Right? You have the attribution of value externally to the act, rather than, so this is right, this is wrong, rather than the idea that the act in and of itself is the source of value. Right? This is wrong, this is right. Value is attributed to the action externally. But if we were, conceptually speaking, and I actually got a comment from a viewer who said something, I think I've explained it since then, since the viewer made the comment. But Dr. Campbell, what I want you to do is recognize, and it was a very good exchange that we actually had. What I want you, I forget the user's name, but what I want you to do is make sure you remember to say that with respect to the relationship of morality and experience, he cited a passage from, I forget, I want to say it was Gay Science, I forget where he cited the passage from, but Nietzsche said something along the lines of, all experience is moral experience. And his point is right, but we had to have a little exchange to make sure that we were both on the same page. Yes, it's the case that all experience is moral experience, but as Nietzsche says, it's not the case that that moral experience, that evaluative claim is intrinsic in the phenomena itself. That's false. That evaluative claim is applied to, and it actually comes from the mind of the perceiver to be technical, it's applied to the action. And that it's important to recognize this. Why? If you say this, then we're back to this problem, right? We're back to the problem of moral imposition, or the moral imperative imposing conformity to a particular action. Insofar as you perform that action, if you conform, and that's the only option you have, you cannot be said to exercise freedom. The only way you can properly be said to exercise freedom is if you have the option to act immorally, meaning, at least at this level, immorally, meaning in opposition to the original moral imperative, right? We call that evil. Nietzsche calls that evil. It doesn't really mean act evil, right? So, a bit technical, actually very technical discussion. 289, I don't know, I would love to have somebody just really break 289 down. Not even as a video response, but, just explain it. I would love to watch somebody else discuss that note. So, this is not formal, but if you have free time and you want to discuss note 289, you know psychoanalysis and psychology and all that stuff, that unconscious blah blah, I don't really know that stuff, but if you get it, I mean I do know it to an extent, but if you really are sort of solid in it, tell me what you think about that, because I'm trying to make sense of, I know it's profound, I think I understand it, I think I explained it properly, but you just want to verify it, right? That you want to make sure that what you're saying makes sense to an extent. And not only does it make sense, but it holds true both to Nietzsche and to the larger community of sort of discourse on the unconscious. I know with respect to Nietzsche, I could legitimize it. I don't know that I could legitimize it per se with respect to the larger discourse, especially contemporary discourse on the unconscious. How would that apply? How would that look to the person? But more importantly, more sort of socio-political implications I think would be super cool. But that's just my own sort of interest. And then lastly, for section 9.6, the fact is that X has occurred. Right? The fact is X has occurred. The occurrence of X in and of itself is neither good nor bad. It just is. Right? The fact is, for Nietzsche, X has occurred. X is a phenomena that has occurred in the world. The occurrence of the phenomena, a reach, a grab, a thrust of the hand, is neither good nor bad, but it is the appropriation of the value to that act that serves to give us meaning of the world. We are the type of beings capable of appropriating moral judgments to acts. Animals don't do this, to my knowledge. And it would be cool to have some animal, I love stuff like this because it opens up so much interdisciplinary discourse, right? Maybe the higher animals, maybe cognitively higher, more advanced animals, maybe. But for all practical purposes, the lioness isn't thinking that her action is bad, right? When she rips open the throat of a baby calf to feed her, she's not thinking about that. Now, apes, I don't know. Apes might have sort of more moral sensibility. I don't know, but that's the idea, right? The idea is in a naturalistic sense, right? In nature, right? If he's what was the word that he used? What was the word he used? I forgot. He said what did he say? Restoration. When he's talking about the restoration of nature, right? When Nietzsche is talking about the restoration of nature, think of the lioness, right? The lioness slaughters the baby calf to feed her family, and she doesn't, for 1 second, her actions aren't defined by moral valuations, moral interpretations. In nowhere in that act are there moral valuations, moral interpretations. However, we are the type of being, which is a very advanced, it's an extremely advanced state of being in which we can see significance in the act. I mean, if I really think about it, I understand what Nietzsche's saying, but it is so, I mean, you need like some hardcore science to really talk about that. And I can't wait till they publish that book, because I'll be the first one to buy it, because I don't know that it exists, but to really explicitly talk about sort of, at the dendritic level, at the level of sense reception, at the level of sort of facticity, how we make this dialectical exchange between facts in the world and moral evaluations that we apply to the facts. I can't think of any more fruitful endeavor for sort of cross-disciplinary discussion between psychologists, philosophers, scientists, sociology. It requires so much interdisciplinary work, which is probably the reason why it hasn't really been fleshed out. But, I mean, for me personally, I am totally fascinated by this type of stuff. This completely satisfies my desire to get more, because it's just so phenomenally complex. There's so much that you can sink your teeth into in a sense. So yeah, love it. I don't think there's any need to rehash. I think I said everything I needed to say for this section. So with that, I want to thank you for taking the time to watch my videos. I'm Dr. Jason J. Campbell. Have a good day.